Hello, welcome everybody. SF Live episode 229 on this Tuesday. And I'm excited to be joined by Asante Gold and Douglas MacQuarrie, President and CEO, is joining me. And I'm looking forward to the conversation. They're an upcoming gold producer and about 6 months away from production. And they're just running through financing and all the good things right now. So I'm excited to be catching up with them. He'll give us the rundown, whether they're still on schedule, what inflation looks like, how COVID is affecting their production schedule, and all. I'm really excited to have him on. But before we switch over to our guest, before I officially welcome our guest here, and please be reminded to follow us on YouTube, follow us on Twitter, make sure to hit the like and subscribe button as well. That helps with the YouTube algorithm so other investors can see our videos as well. We do all of them live. That way you can hear it straight from the CEO, straight from the president. It's unfiltered, unedited, and I'm sure I'm making Douglas nervous here just saying that, but it is true. I'm trying to replicate the physical experience that we usually have at conferences. So trying to emulate what I usually do when I meet CEOs one-on-one at the shows. So trying to switch over now. I'll switch over to my guest. And Douglas, it's great to welcome you. Great to see you again. Happy New Year, actually. I'm going to say it until the 31st of July. So January. Happy New Year.
Great. Same to you, Kai. Thanks a lot for hosting us today.
Yeah, apologies for the quick delay. I managed to blow a fuse here in the house and blew out my internet. So we're just running a couple minutes behind.
What's a Zoom call without technical difficulties?
Exactly. Can you hear me?
Yeah, great. Yeah, I can see you moving too. That's good.
Fantastic. Great stuff. Douglas, it's the first time on SF Live. Always love kicking things off with a quick introduction to the company. Maybe you can give us a quick 30-60 second rundown.
Okay, so Asante Gold, we're a Canadian junior explorer. As of 6 months ago, and listed on the Canadian Securities Exchange. We had one main project, which was called the Kubi Gold Project, 350,000 ounce, fairly high grade deposit in Ghana, which we were in the process of putting into production. And, we're basically made an acquisition in August of this year. We picked up the Bibiani Gold Project from Resolute Mining. And things have changed rather rapidly. So we've basically gone from a $5 million market cap to closer to $250 million market cap. On the back that there's a 2.5 million ounces worth of resources there. And we've modified the plan to develop it as an open cut resource rather than what Resolute was planning to do was an underground. And of course, open pits have the advantage of earlier cash flow. And so I think the market appreciated that change. We're in a very good environment, Ghana. There's lots of big mines here, lots of 10, 20 million ounce deposits. I believe Bibiani is one of those 10 to 20 million ounce deposits. It's been operated for since almost 100 years and has produced 5 million ounces to date. And we believe this structure goes down a long way. It's 2 kilometers long, a mile and a half long. So it's just a monster that we've bit into here. Yep.
Fantastic. And since you mentioned Bibiani, let's start there, I guess. $70 million was the total acquisition cost, correct? You want to
90 million US.
90 million. I knew it was split into 3 parts. So
sure. 90 million US. We made the deposit of 30 million, and then every 6 months we have another $30 million payment. We currently we announced the refurbishment of the mill, so it's a full 3 million ton per year mill on the property. It was built around the late 1990s by Asante Goldfields, and they operated the mine. So they operated for 4 or 5 years at 200,000 ounces per year. And so everything was tickety-boo, everything was working just fine. The gold price was a little low, and they had a pit failure that, so they had to basically, the production dropped in half, and then it dropped in half again. Price of gold was too low, so they said, bye-bye, and they sold it. And essentially it's gone through 3 or 4 owners in between them and us, but essentially no production. So that 2.5 million ounces is still sitting there. So I mean, it's like somebody had this fantastic mine and they covered it over with a nice heavy cloth. And 10, 15 years later, we came by and take the cloth off, and hey, surprise! It's a wonderful mine that will produce 200,000 ounces per year.
Oh, and
So
if I may jump in there,
Sure.
like, what's the capex for removing the cloth there?
okay, so basically the refurbishment of the mill to bring it up to 2020 to 2021 standards is 26 million US dollars. So we're about 35-40% of the way through that. And that's basically replace everything that's rubber, replace the seals, replace the conveyor belts, rework every motor, take out every major component, new mill liners, new control system, new gravity concentrator, new something else in concentrator, new gold room, new control room, new security room. So all of that comes in for $26 million. And at that point, I will essentially have a mill that's good for 2.7 million tons per year, and will give us around a 92% recovery rate.
Fantastic. Are you going to do any
rest
exploring
of
around
the
it as well, or just going to see like 2.5 million? What's the mine life going to be on that one?
Yeah, so the plan now is to we're basically completing a NI 43-101 mining plan, which will be delivered in the second quarter of 2022. And in the meantime, we've already gone ahead with the mining contract. So we've picked a mining contractor. They're already mobilizing equipment. There's like 175 pieces of heavy equipment that are coming in. And the basic plan is to produce 170,000 ounces of gold in our first year. And the first gold pour will be in July of this year.
Wow, that's
so 170,000 ounces. It's an extremely tight timeline. And Kyle, the only reason we can do that is because, like I say, the thing was just covered over. We know the metallurgy. We know the mine site is built. There's, all the infrastructure is there. The tailings pond is there. The facilities are all permitted. There's currently 900 people on site. So it's a busy little, like an anthill, very people running everywhere doing their jobs. So we're on this very tight but deliverable timeline.
Okay, so I don't often have an up-and-coming producer on the show, so I was asking, like, what does it feel like with supply chains right now as well? You said you don't have to replace much, but you still have to replace a few parts and a lot of rubber parts as well. How is that looking right now?
It's, my understanding, all the long-term lead items were ordered months ago, and everything's on schedule. So not expecting any surprises there. Plus, Ghana is, the largest gold producer in Africa. It's a 5 million ounce per year production country-wise. There's all the big majors are here, and that means all the major mine suppliers are here. Lots of spares, all sorts of things. So the mining contractor we picked actually has all the equipment available. So they're just moving from point A to point B. It's not really very far they have to move. There's no long supply lines there at all.
Okay. You said you're halfway through the spend already, and it's a great segue to talk about capital structure and, of course, funding situation as well. Because I watched one of your CEO's interview from Mines Money, actually, and he said that there's financing discussions going on right now. How much are you looking for still, and how is that progressing? Okay,
yeah. That you looked at the interview of Dave Anthony, and he's our COO, and he's just doing a super job. He's built mines before in much tougher places than Tanzania. Dave actually says this is one of the easiest projects he's ever had. So, it's only 900 people on site and $150 million.
It's cool. Easy Sunday morning.
Exactly. So we're currently in negotiations for up to 135 billion US dollars, and we're essentially want to do that in as non-dilutive a way as possible. And so I would expect there'll be some news, say, within the next 30 days on that.
Is that so non-dilutive? I can speculate. You can shut me down, say no comment. But would that potentially include a royalty or a stream? Do you have any byproducts you could stream out of the mine?
No, we actually looked at a couple of those, but they weren't very attractive. The problem with the gold forwards is, we only have to sell 60,000 ounces to raise 100 million US on a gold forward. Unfortunately, they want to tie up the rest of your production for forever. So, Asante believes that we should pay our shareholders. So, so we don't want to tie up our gold forever. We think we're on the verge of a major gold market. And I've been studying gold since I was 18 years old, and I think we have a super bull gold market on our hands here in the next year or two. So by non-dilutive, we're talking project-backed debt. We're talking perhaps a convertible. It'll be mainly debt, but small portion convertible. We're talking infrastructure loans. We're talking perhaps a gold forward with a very friendly party. We have two major shareholders in the company, Cal, and both of them are Dubai based. And as you know, there's some big refineries in Dubai, and an awful lot of the gold production from Ghana actually goes the Dubai route. So both of our major shareholders have expressed an interest in actually getting involved in taking the gold from us down the road. So
just to jump in and clarify, that's Fujairah Holdings and Emerald Resources, each owning 14.9%. Is that correct?
Okay, that's fully diluted 14 and straight equity 19.6 at the moment.
Oh, fantastic. Okay, so they're both sitting at 40% of. Or in combined, of course. So yeah, they obviously have an interest for this to be successful.
Right, and in the case of Emerald, they're in 3 countries in Africa and very aggressive, extremely well funded, and they're looking to get much bigger. And so basically, a strategic investment into Asante. Likewise with Fujairah. Fujairah is an investment holding company. They're obviously an oil producer. And they're looking for, again, strategic investments outside of the oil industry.
And they came in, just again, clarify again, they came in August, right, when you raised about $76 million, is that correct?
That's right, yep.
Okay. Since we're on the topic of cap structure, let's just wrap this up here real quick. 253 million shares outstanding, and
that's right.
81 million warrants and options outstanding as well. What are the strike prices of that?
The strike prices vary from, I think, 15 cents up to is it 75 cents?
And are those being exercised right now? I'm assuming so, based on the current share price.
Sure. You know, warrants and options, they don't get exercised till the last day.
If your broker calls you, if the broker doesn't call, they usually expire worthless. I've noticed.
Yeah, that's right. No, these ones are in the money for quite nicely, and I'm sure they'll all be exercised, but maybe a little later.
Okay, fantastic. One last question on the cap structure. I've noticed you are listed on the CSE. You are in financing discussions right now. Are there any plans to uplist, or is there any blowback or feedback, negative feedback actually on the listing itself? Do you have to change listing venues?
That's interesting question. I've got lots and lots of shareholders all over the world that have no problem at all with our listing and getting quotes and buying stock or selling stock. There are some that have problems. So we've decided to seek a listing on the Toronto Stock Exchange, and that will hopefully happen in the next, let's say, in the next quarter.
No, okay, interesting. Because I've been hearing from funds as well. They have, like, in their, what would you call it, in their bylaws, they just can't buy CSE stocks, for example. They just can't, right? So that's why I was wondering, like, how that feedback, what kind of feedback you've been getting, since you are in the pre-production stage as well. So,
well, that's right. So most of our financing to this point has not been institutional, so it hasn't been a problem at all. All of our major financings have been private placements to accredited investors. So.
Okay, one last follow-up on the cap structure, actually. And one thing I've noticed, you have 25.5% Ghanaian retail. How did that come about? That's a number you don't see too often, and retail from Ghana holding shares.
Right. So on a fully diluted basis, it's 39%.
Oh wow. Yeah.
So that was a very strategic investment we did at the 15-cent level, and the object was, you've heard this resource nationalization rear its head all over the world. And so we said, okay, we're a Ghanaian-based company. I've worked in Ghana since 1993. So what is that, 28, 29 years. We have major board directors are Ghanaian, and the projects are here. We plan to grow here. So why not have a major shareholder base here? And so based on that, we raised, I think it was $7.5 million at that 15-cent price level, and brought in quite a series of high net worth Ghanaian investors. No institutions, it was all investors. And then we also said, look, let's list on the Ghana Stock Exchange. Let's walk the walk instead of just doing talk the talk. Yeah. So hopefully in the next, I would say again in the next month, we hope to be listed here, and that'll create some really interesting arbitrage opportunities.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting route. Okay, that's also an ESG aspect to a degree as well, I guess, a box you can tick.
Absolutely. I mean, and opportunities come along, and I think Ghanaian companies with lots of Ghanaian shareholders, well, there'll be Ghanaians that bring us Ghanaian opportunities.
Well, Ghanaian opportunities to grow the company as well. It sounds like I keep jumping around. It's interesting to have that conversation because now you open the door to opportunities. And I had another question lined up as well. Might as well throw it in there. We're done with cap structure, but you just invested $5 million in Roscan Gold as well. Wondering what the thinking behind that was and how it fits in the strategic plan.
Okay, well, that's again was an opportunity that came along. The president of Roscan happens to be a Ghanaian, and the chairman of Roscan happens to be a Ghanaian, of which both of these gentlemen are well known to myself and some of my other directors, and are very well known in the mining business. And so that opportunity came along. They were looking to raise some money, and they got a fantastic project in Mali. And some of my directors have visited it, and they're excited about it. So we said, okay, why not? I see just today they came out with some rather spectacular intersections. I think the stock's up a little bit today. So we're up, I don't know, 20 or 30% on that investment at the moment.
So, but it's just for investment purposes, or is there more to it? I know I'm poking the bear a little bit, see what comes out. Well,
it's a funny world. Let's just fast forward. Speculation. Our mine comes in as planned in July. We are producing 170,000 ounces a year. Our financing is primarily non-dilutive. We think there'll be, as your title, a major revaluation in the shares to the upside. Well, once that happens, we can do an awful lot of, prospecting with share capital.
Okay. Nope.
And little juniors that have not moved up significantly, maybe they'll find the Asante platform of interest.
You also have a second project in Ghana as well, the Kubi Project. Is that shelved right now? Is there any work going on? What are the plans?
No, actually, it's very much a part of our plans. Kubi is basically, we're waiting for a governmental permit, an EPA permit. We recently got the forest access permit, and about 2/3 of the ore body is actually under the forest reserve. Now, Kubi is an underground mine, so that's not a problem. But to get into the forest to do drilling and et cetera, we needed an EPA permit. So as soon as we get that, and again, we're expecting that any time, God willing. They say that a lot in Ghana, and it works. Then we'll get in there and we'll do a rather aggressive drill program. We believe there's a significant amount of oxide ore that could be accessed quite quickly, could be stuck on a truck. It's 100 kilometers to Bibiani. So there's no reason we can't use it as a satellite pit and move that. The initial stages at Bibiani we're moving quite a bit of waste to clean up things, and to get a bit more ore in there is a good idea. But secondly, we plan to go to full scale on the portal and the decline, and get that going again as soon as possible. Underground resource to reserve drilling, and then hopefully be in production in that one within around a year or so, year and a half.
That's an aggressive and tight timeline. Yeah, fantastic. I'm just looking at it in my cheat sheet here a little bit. You actually have decent grades, 5.3 grams. I'm looking at here overall. They produced at 3.65 grams in the past from the asset. Is that correct?
Well, yeah, that's right. So Asante mined 56,000 ounces out of the pit in around the year 2004, 2005. At that grade, 3.6 grams. So that's just the oxide. So that's the kind of grade we expect to get. Again, the pit stopped when they got into the forest, but the rest of it's still there. So why not? Underground is a bit of a, we did a geophysical modeling a year and a half ago. And it turns out that the structure that hosts the ore body has huge continuity to depth. We see about 3 to 4 kilometers of continuity to depth. Now that's not the ore body, that's the structure that hosts it. But the Golden Gana is almost all vertical. So if you've got grades 5 to 10 grams per ton at the surface, yes, we only have 350,000 ounces, but that's only within the top 300-400 meters. So if one projects it, that maybe 1 to 2, 3 kilometers down, yeah, it could be a multi-million ounce high-grade deposit.
When you say massive exploration program at it, is like, can you put some numbers around meters, or is that too early to tell?
Around which?
Meters for Kubi, how many meters of drilling you're planning, and will you drill deep? Will you poke a couple deep holes in as well?
Okay, sure. That is part of the plan still is to do a couple of deep holes, but basically the major plan is to get underground, and from underground do resource to reserve drilling. So that's a $2 million program that's planned. Yeah,
That's not too bad actually, and that should be.
It's typical. It's typical in these type of mines. You basically get 2 or 3 years ahead of ore reserves ahead of you. It makes little economic sense to spend $1 million on a drill hole to find ore you're not going to mine for 15 years. The accountants get mad at you, and the shareholders say, "Oh, you've diluted the stock." So.
Oh, you can afford it if you go into production. It's more putting the cherry on top for the next guy, right? So, and got to leave some blue sky for the next guy. On the table as well, and just take it all by yourself. I have a couple more questions. Right. We're jumping around a little bit now, but back to Bibiani. You're doing open pit, obviously, or going back to the open pit plan and idea. Is there any plans, or can you foresee in the life of mine that you'll transition back to underground again? Is that?
Absolutely. The structure that hosts Bibiani is, of course, 100 kilometers long, maybe more. It also hosts the Chirano mine, which is like 30 kilometers to the south. That's a multi-million ounce producer owned by Kinross. Then at Bibiani, the 2 kilometers of the main structure have produced 5 million ounces of gold, essentially from the top 400 meters. Well, you do the math on that. That's like 10 million. What am I trying to say? That's a million. God, I just went brain dead. It's 10,000 ounces per vertical meter. 10,000 ounces. And that's proven. That's been mined. Yeah. Well, we see no reason that this structure should not go down several kilometers, which would be 1.2 kilometers beneath the deepest drill hole, which gives those type of grades and widths, 5-10 meters of 5-10, 20 grams per ton. Extremely high grade, big widths, and big continuity. So, we have no problem seeing a underground mine commencing, say, 4 or 5 years down the road, feeding 10 gram per ton material to the mill to supplement whatever other oxide resources or I should say surface resources we find. Yeah. The current pit is going to be deepened down to 350 meters. And it will basically take in 1.6 million ounces of the 2.5 million ounce resource. After that, it'll be the underground.
The 1.6 is after the recoveries have been applied? Is that, or minus recovery?
Well, out of yeah, that's right. It's just that the pit only goes so deep. And so some of the current resource is below the current pit design.
Gotcha. Fantastic. Douglas, like we're at the end of our time here. Like we had a fantastic conversation. We talked a lot. Like I just want to wrap up, put a bow around it, but I just want to talk near-term catalysts. I think debt finance or financing package is probably the next big announcement coming up. Anything else we should be looking out for?
Well, like I say, there's always opportunities, and Kubi, by all means, we're hopefully be an announcement on that as well. The mining contractor arriving and the start of mining, all of that, the first gold pour, and we're drilling the satellite pits. We've actually had some pretty good results on some of the satellite pits. So I just think there's going to be an awful lot of news flow between now and July.
Yeah, one of the few developers actually that actually will have a lot of news flow. And since your timeline to production is only 6 months, it should be easy to fill that gap, I guess, right?
Yeah, so it's going to be exciting.
Fantastic.
So we'll keep in touch, eh?
Oh, for sure. Douglas, thank you so much for joining me. So, apologies for the delay again, and it was a great conversation. And good luck, and I'll keep a close eye on it.
Right, okay, great. Well, we'll talk again.
Everybody else, thanks for joining us. This was SF Live episode 229, and we were joined by Douglas MacQuarrie, and they're ramping up production, or going into production actually, in July, and they're on time, on budget, on target, on schedule, and everything. And really curious to see what the next steps are. Financing package is the next big item here as well. And make sure to follow us on YouTube, follow us on Twitter at Soar Financial on each platform. And leave a like, leave a comment as well, and help us with the algorithms. Thanks so much, and we'll be back with more tomorrow.